Alright, so we should be live now.
Oh, people are already watching?
Well,
So
they
don't
tune
say
in?
anything
it's my
wrong.
mom and my sister on yet.
Siblings.
My mom, my husband, his wife.
Is your husband?
Are now watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm
Right?
gonna text. Wait,
Really
is
rabid following.
Are we really on?
On Facebook we are, but it's my Facebook Live, so unless someone's a friend of mine, they'll be.
I'm gonna tell Chris that. Go to.
You guys are ready for Valentine's Day?
Warned my wife what to expect this morning already.
Oh, she would plan her on.
Valentine's Day.
Okay, it's time to put the headphones on. We'll do the mic check.
GD Power. Same brand there in the office.
The headphones?
What's that?
The headphones are same brand?
Sennheisers, yeah.
There you go, good. The cans. We call them cans. Business.
Test, 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 test.
Is Jerry asking for it? Morning, Jerry.
Yep. Test, 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 test.
Chris on 3.
Test, test, test.
Sibilance. This is Dean. Sibilance.
Okay.
4 minutes, 39 seconds. Pretty exciting.
Mark, can I turn down the background? Is that what this
Yes.
is?
Yep. Yep.
Just the main one or
You
the
can
back
turn it-
one?
Both of them. I think it's like a left and right kind of thing. I'm
Oh,
not sure.
okay. Oh,
Let's do it and see what happens.
Yeah,
don't worry,
that's
I run a tech company. I'll figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
I just turn it down.
Can you help me reset my password? I have no idea.
Right, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't you run a tech company? No,
You
never,
can
never
really
you
turn my
mind.
car
Never
on.
you mind.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just change the batteries in your house.
So what was New York? Was it cold in New York when you were there? Was it?
It was great. It rained a little bit, but it didn't bother us at all. And my wife's a fashion blogger now, fashion influencer.
Oh, okay.
So I think she kind of snickered in. She says, "Oh, I better come with you to do the Maria Bartiromo interview just to show support to my husband." And then
Of course.
after
yes.
that played itself out, she's like, "Oh, by the way," I'm like, "I knew
I
it.
knew this.
I knew there was a hook."
Yes.
So no, we had a good time. It was good, but not exactly the trip I wanted.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really get to have any fun. I was so wound up about being on national television.
Right.
I was like, "Oh, shame, correct. Here's the fiddle for being in
Right.
New York." I'm like, "Well, I didn't know I wasn't going on the show until like 7, 8 o'clock at night. So like, had I known, yeah, I would have gone out to a club. I would have done something fun. But
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I was drinking like tea. We get up at like 5 in the morning.
Okay, I got this.
Yeah, I was like studying. I didn't want to get stumped on a question. And then they're like, "Oh, you're not going out." I'm like, "Shoot."
It's not good.
Yeah, it's too late to like get in a cab. and
Well,
go
then you have all day to freak out and like think about
Yeah.
it. Like I just want to get this over. Okay, I'm ready. Let me do it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. You're gonna be great." I'm like, "Yeah, it's but that's like telling your son, hey, you're gonna jump off a cliff, but you'll be fine." Like I was just like, I mean, in deep down inside, I knew it would be
Yeah.
fine. I knew it would be fine, but still, it was nerve wracking.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Big time in it.
kind of
Yeah,
pretty cool.
it is cool.
They was pretty. They were asking some tough questions today on the show.
Is that right?
Watched, yeah.
Yeah, it was the other woman on the show. She was pretty fired up. She was. I don't know. It was a lot of dialogue.
Did you maybe you already asked? Is there anything you really want us to ask that you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think
Well, I don't know what the topic is today. Is it just on us? Is it on the over? Oh, just us.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
Let's say. I mean, usually we touch on anonymity. If we don't want to go through the whole story of like why we built it, which sometimes takes a long time, but what are some of the key elements of it are anonymity,
Okay.
gender and race neutrality, which is admittedly an accident.
Okay.
But because it's anonymous,
Yeah.
as a happy accident,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard to discriminate, at least during the search process,
Yeah.
versus a borrower and
Right.
actually versus a loan officer. Because look at the four of us around the room.
Right.
I'm in a suit.
Right.
You're wearing a sleeveless shirt. Does that have any bearing on which one of us is the best loan officer?
Right.
It shouldn't. It really shouldn't. It should be based on your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your history, your.
Right.
And so, given all the bias issues and the banks getting slapped with, you know,
Okay.
this
And also
is,
borrower control is the big thing.
yeah, and then the one that
Right on both sides, right?
yeah, because
Borrower
as
chooses.
borrowers, the borrower makes the ultimate choice as to who to talk to. Any other site that is even remotely close to ours, their money is made as soon as you have a loan. They've already sold it. They've already sold your information. Ours just doesn't work.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5 FM, part of the Wall Street Business Network. This is Mark Bellows. I'm a tax principal with Clifton Larson Allen here in the Roseville office. I work with manufacturers and distributors, real estate investors and developers, some contractors, and other things. I do taxes, tax planning, tax strategy, tax solutions, and it's tax time. I'm busy. It's there's a lot going on. Tax reform has got people thinking and trying to plan for what's going to happen in 2018. Plus, we got to take care of 2017. When they signed the newest budget extender last week, he extended a bunch of stuff was going to expire. Technical term stuff, tax stuff, and so that's good. There's a lot going on. Busy time of year, and then of course I'm getting my hair cut in a couple weeks. Amanda,
Coming
welcome
up.
back. How
hello,
are you this
hello,
morning?
friends. Nice to see you all again. Amanda Blackwood, OE Consulting Group. So we work with CEOs and leadership teams to align people and process to get you results.
Excellent.
So I'm happy to be here. This is fun.
This is fun. We got a couple guests today, so we'll introduce them real quick, and then we'll continue the conversation. But anyway, so Chris Meyer and Dean Sioukas, did I get it right? Sorry, Dean Sioukas of Magilla Loans. Apparently, if you're younger, you say Magilla. But
That's right.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
But the correct pronunciation is Magilla Loans. And so we'll get into their story in just a minute. And welcome back to the show. You guys were on a couple years ago, and a lot's happened in the last couple of years. So I'm interested to catch up, or have our listeners catch up with what's been going on with you guys. And gosh, we go from New York to Sacramento. So
Yeah.
No.
We've been all over the place
all over
lately.
the place. Yeah, I get all kinds of great press. That's exciting. So Valentine's Day, Amanda, what do you guys do?
Oh my God. So, okay, I will tell you full disclosure. Yesterday we sent the kids to school in red clothes
Okay.
with a bag of Valentines and cupcake, and then realized nope, that's tomorrow.
Oh,
Awesome.
man.
One day.
Awesome.
That's hilarious.
So I know. So we used up our outfits. It was quite a drama. But other than that, I get to babysit a baby tonight. I get my besties little, and I'm very looking
How
forward
old?
to that. God, is that horrible? 7 months now?
Okay.
Oh,
7
really?
months? Yeah. So this is our Valentine's Day gift to ourselves.
And you're
We get some beanie time.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting. And your kids, how old are your kids again?
6 and 4.
6 and 4. So do they bring Valentine's for everybody in the class?
Yes. When it was so it was quite a deal because you see them making them, and some are like a little fancier than others, and it's like,
There's something
I see what's going on here.
Exactly.
All right.
Chris, kids?
Yes, kids. I have 14-year-old, 11-year-old, and 8-year-old. And
Okay.
yeah, we're in the same boat. Valentine's Day class.
Yeah.
You see a little extra preparation.
Right.
I'm with you. Totally. Yeah.
Dean?
Yeah, I have a 11-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl.
Okay.
And so, yeah, you definitely see it on the More with the girl, I'd say.
Right.
The boy knocks them out pretty quick. But there's some extra goodness on some of those.
Well, yeah, and your daughter has artistry in her blood.
That's true. That's true. She put some effort into those.
Liliana's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys live in this Sacramento area somewhere, presumably?
Oh yeah, we're both Sacramento.
We're kind of neighbors.
Whereabouts?
And I live in Arden Oaks,
I live in Wilhagen,
Okay.
like Sierra Oaks.
and
Okay.
our kids go to St. Michael's Episcopal School together.
Excellent.
So that's
Yeah,
how
so
we
we
know
both
each other.
have 11-year-olds,
Okay.
and they're both in the same class.
Ah, well, welcome.
God.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
great.
it is.
How
So,
long have you guys known each other? You've been like lifetime besties?
It seems that way, but no.
Okay.
We actually hadn't been friends for very long when we met Mark the first time,
Okay.
Huh.
a
a couple years ago.
couple of
Alright.
years ago.
That's right.
But no, it seems like we've been lifelong friends, but we actually haven't been
Probably, 5 or 6 years for
So-
kids been in school.
So, how did you guys meet?
at school.
That's cool.
And so, what were you doing at the time when you met? Because Magilla hadn't started yet.
Magilla hadn't started, and so I own a couple of funeral homes in the area.
Okay.
And I had this idea. I had gotten about 14 loans about a 10-year period, and I was doing the process of preparing tax returns and handing them to 4 banks and
Right.
waiting for a term sheet. Come back, prepare your own term sheet. Said something's wrong with the process, and talked to Dean one day, and I said he was the technophile at school. Everyone would go to him for techie stuff, and he
How
said,
do I get this on my phone?
"Yeah, how do I get it exactly?
Get a lot of
exactly."
it, a lot of
And
it.
Yeah.
and Dean's like, "Yeah, I'll find you a search engine, and I'll tell you tomorrow." And he said, "Come into my office. Doesn't exist. What do you say we build it?" And I said, "Let's do it."
Because the process was,
Yeah.
as you laid out, the process has been historically, you find a lender somewhere who's potentially loaning money,
Correct.
and then you go to them to talk, go through the whole rigmarole, bring them your documents, fill out the credit app, blah blah blah, right? And then you go to the next guy or gal.
If you
Same
get
thing.
if you get that far.
Yeah.
Same thing with all your private information, which that's where I started to feel uneasy. You know, I had this stack of 3 years of personal tax
Yeah.
returns, business
Oh, yeah.
tax returns, all my most private information, handing to a loan officer, and then never getting it back and waiting 3 months for a turn. That process didn't seem right.
You know, identity theft's a huge
Yeah.
issue,
Right.
right? I mean, we use everything we transmit with our clients is all through portals and it's all encrypted and that type of stuff, right? So you do as much as you can to try to avoid or minimize the risk.
We agree.
Yeah,
And-
and so that's a huge issue. So that was another issue you guys ran into, or
Well,
you
we-
ran into when you.
Well, we ran in building the first version of Magilla. We ran into that right away. And when Chris and I sat in my office and cranked out the first, I said, "Yeah, you got to come in here and check this out. You know, I think you're onto something." I whipped up a mock-up, and we both slapped each other on the back, like, "Oh, this is amazing!" And then we looked at each other and said, "I'd never used it."
Yeah. Put your social on,
Yeah.
on the internet, and I'm like,
Sure.
this is bad. Bad idea.
So we went home a little dejected and used ourselves as the test case. Like, why would you build something that you wouldn't use yourself?
And so the idea is that you were building something where people could go to versus going to 6 or 8 different banks or 2 banks or whatever it is. Each bank individually, they go online.
We wanted Kayak.
Yeah.
I wanted
Okay.
the equivalent of Kayak
Yeah.
for loans. That's what Chris wanted.
Yeah, we wanted to find it fast, right? So I didn't want to have to give everyone my information. I want to just find the right banker fast in 24 to 48 hours, and then I'm going to have to take that stack and give it to the one guy who I know or woman who I know can close the loan. So that we've taken essentially 3 to 4 months of loan reconnaissance,
Yeah.
I call it, and we shrunk it to 24 hours.
Yeah, that's a huge.
But it's a double win because it's a loan reconnaissance. We built it from the borrower's perspective pretty quickly, not being ex-bankers ourselves. We realized this is a double win because the loan officer, well, they're trying to find, if they're interested in a real estate developer, they're trying to find me. It's like a dating site.
It really is. Match.com.
It's like
For
Match.com
loans.
because
For loans, yeah.
in reality, there's thousands and thousands of banking options.
Or maybe what's it when farmers only.
Yeah, there it is. That's
Yeah,
it.
there's a couple mingles. There's a couple good mingles.
Well, no, and we kind of fight about this. Not really fight about it, but we say it's also a CEO dream. It's kind of what we're trying to do is we know that these banking institutions are just these old sort of anachronistic institutions, and we're saying we can cut the lending divisions in half. We can cut your marketing and business development dollars in half. So we see it as an efficiency play on the large bank side, and that's what Dean was saying. We really feel that we created a win-win situation. We're a partnership. We want a partnership with the banks.
So we're going to go to commercial break. When
Cool.
we get back, we'll continue the conversation with Dean and Chris of Magilla Loans. They're at www.magillaloans.com, and you're listening to Beyond the Numbers. We'll be right back.
Dude,
That went by
Liliana's
so
got it.
fast.
It does. Liliana's
First
got
one's
it.
on
Props. That's
top.
after name.
He's
She's
not
gonna
gonna
give you the stink eye.
She gave me a stink
Do
eye.
you think she'll make you a Valentine?
She should.
What if she sends you a lollipop?
That'd be awesome. I was like, dropped her name.
They send lollipops to each other.
That's what Liliana does all this. She sits down and just
She cranks it out.
Yeah. No, you're looking at him though. You're like, so who's this?
Yeah.
Dean? What's this? What's this one with the lace
Yeah,
and the stickers
yeah,
and
yeah.
the glitter
Oh,
on
wait.
it? You gonna tell me about that?
The cut up doily. Yeah.
Dad. Oh, just
I love
friends.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's really exciting. That is really exciting for you. You know, it's one of those things. It's like the really great products come from that human-centered design perspective. That I'm the user and I don't like this.
Right.
Yes.
So how?
Right.
What is something I would
Yeah,
like?
but we still
What
fight
is
that
the-
now. We've been to banking conferences, and they let us speak,
Yeah, we got.
and they said, what do these guys know about me?
They're not
Just
bankers.
Nothing. I'm
Yeah,
a
and that's
customer.
what makes
Well,
it
that's the
great.
thing, yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That is the point, yeah. And we're back. Thanks for that bumper there, Jerry. It's a good Valentine's Day.
Right. Feeling the mood.
Yeah, feeling it.
Turn the lights down in
Yes,
there.
yes. So we're talking with Dean Sioukas and Chris Meyer of Magilla Loans. Do you guys have titles, good titles with your names or no?
Not really. I mean, we just two guys started a company. We technically have titles, but
I guess we're CEOs.
We're
CEOs,
CEOs,
right?
co-founders.
Yeah.
We're not really caught up in titles.
Guy number one.
Yeah.
Guy number
Guy
two.
one.
Exactly.
Big one.
Exactly.
So 5 years ago, you get this idea.
Oh, actually, it was just a couple years ago.
Yeah, 2.5.
Okay, so it was, 5 years ago, you were looking
Oh, yeah,
for more
yeah.
loans.
Yeah, yeah,
So we got this-
exactly.
So from 5 to 2.5 is the idea germinated.
Yeah, frustrated
Try it
is
out.
more like it.
Yeah, right.
It was that was the
Good work.
thing, and you know, I knew that I didn't have the technical expertise, and that why, you know, Dean and I had a friendship, but it was more of a, you know, at a cocktail party, kind of just we enjoyed each other's
Banter.
company, and he had the same twisted sense of fun about life, you know. So it was great when someone said to me, "Oh, Dean knows everything about tech." So that's where he came in, and he's just taken it to a whole nother level. It's been such a great partnership.
So the first one you built initially.
We built ourselves, yeah.
Yeah, and it had social security numbers unprotected.
Well, no, that one never made it past
Okay, okay.
day one.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, I won't call it a mistake. It's just an obvious pitfall that everyone else does. It just seems like in order to do this, I need to know your name and some things about you.
Yeah.
And Chris and I were scratching our head, and we said, it just seemed all of a sudden it was like light bulb went off. Well, what if we just strip that out? What's the point right now of asking that? I'll learn that eventually.
Mhm.
So what we did instead, and if any of your listeners go to Magilla Loans, they'll see really quickly, there's no tricks here. It's tell us what the asset looks like that you're dealing with. Could be a house, could be a refi, could be an office building, could be multifamily, anything really. And then there's a series of questions that says, now I need to know a little bit about you, either your person or your corporation or your LLC. I need to know the makeup of the asset and makeup of the individual or company that's doing the borrowing. But we'll just forego the name, social security number, and as an accident, gender, race, aesthetics, all that is stripped out. Now, admittedly, that was an accident. We didn't actually set out to be this great equalizer. But it's actually turned out to be pretty powerful in the sense that discrimination exists.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's consciously, that's the worst kind. There's also just subconscious
Sure,
discrimination. And it has no place in financial transactions. It has no place in life, but especially in a financial transaction, there's no point to that.
Mhm.
And so by having it online and automated, it takes all of that out of there. So
Absolutely.
you're not asking it. and asking what.
And I think that large banks are so heavily regulated by RESPA and Dodd-Frank that that's what they loved about it. That's why we've had such great of the attrition of them coming on. So I think they really responded to that. To work with a third-party vendor, they have to vet them so much because of all that, the privacy and the hacking potential. So because we've had this sort of tabula rasa, this clean slate of our forms, I think they just jumped on willingly. And we're seeing in the transition, it's interesting that you say that we talk about being here a couple years ago. We have been educated so much over those 2 years.
Sure.
We're starting to see the banks are hiring these what we call fintech, financial tech people who are not bankers. And that has been the most interesting thing over the last 2 years, because I think they're understanding that non-bankers can solve a banking problem. Whereas heretofore, as Dean explained, we went to this conference 2 years ago and we were basically laughed out of the room, like, get out of here, you guys don't know anything banking.
So this was a banking conference.
Yeah, absolutely. A banking conference of like credit officers.
And you guys were explaining to them how your model works, and they said
exactly. They're like,
that chance, buddy.
They're like,
Well,
we don't do business that way.
Right.
Oh, face to face.
Right.
It's all
Right. Relationships.
Yeah, it's all
is the key word.
Yeah, well, in Magilla, you'd be maybe surprised, maybe not surprised, how often the banker moves brands. The days of the banker retiring at the bank and your dad introducing you to his banker, and that exists in a small way. It still exists, but it is uncommon. People move around a lot more than they used to, and how do you navigate that? And as a bank balances their portfolio, which we all know they do, but borrowers are infrequently in the market. You only refinance your house so many times.
Right.
And if you're a business owner, unless you're, like I am, a real estate developer, where you're actively, that's part of your business, that is unusual, right? If you're a dentist or a doctor, how many times are you going to, re-outfit your office?
And I think the other thing is that people in all walks of life and whatever you're looking for have been accustomed now to doing it online, whether it's Amazon or Kayak or shopping at Zappos.
With some sort of comparison tool.
It's a comparison tool,
Yes.
aggregator. They want that, right?
Yep.
That's what we're becoming. You're coming used to. The challenge for us is how do you bridge the existing populace that's maybe 40 years old and older versus the younger ones, the millennials. They're very very used to just doing everything with their phone, right? But that's part of our education. So we have a desktop version where you can access it online like a normal banker, old school banker would, and the younger ones obviously can do everything through the app. So it's been cool. It's been an amazing education process for us.
Now, did you come out with both the desktop and the mobile version at the same time, or
Well, no, because the first one was built by us.
Okay.
Actually, that's not totally true. I take that back. Actually, the first one was mobile responsive. So it wasn't an app that you could download on the App Store, but
or maybe that you could even use.
that you could even use. But
Theoretically.
Yeah.
no, it was aesthetically
No, you're
pleasing on the phone, and so. But yeah, it's full blown iOS, Android apps, obviously responsive, and the desktop version. Push notifications was huge. The idea of Magilla is to be nimble and efficient for banks. A lot of fintech is out there bashing the banks, saying, "Oh, we do it better." Chris and I took a different approach. We like the banks. Banks help us grow our businesses. And I know some big banks have gotten some bad press lately, and that's unfortunate. At the same time, the big banks have the best rates, oftentimes. Community banks do have more relationship, we believe. That when they say it, they mean it more, or they can at least follow through on it more. And then you have alt lenders, whether you call them hard money lenders or alternative lenders or online fintech lenders. Magilla is there to be your version of Kayak. I'm a flyer. I might fly first class because I'm going on a 10-year anniversary with my wife. The same customer might, a week later, fly coach because I'm by myself. I don't really care. It's me. I get to decide as the consumer what is most important to me, and that can change during a short period of time.
Yeah.
Borrowers are the same. What if you're a great borrower and you're in a rush?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm not going to tell you that you have to get a loan from a big bank. You might want to pay a little more in rate in order to get it done quickly.
Right. I'll take that hard money loan because I need to close this in 29 days.
Yeah, because
Right.
the price that I'm getting is worth the expense, and then I can always refinance it later when I
Right.
have time.
Yeah.
Magilla is not there to tell you do this or do that. Magilla is there to say you are an infrequent visitor to this world of finance. It's unfair and unrealistic for the marketplace and banks to say educate yourself on all the nuances of loans. We're there to help and do it quickly.
So my question is, if I'm a lender, how do I connect to your world? How do I get exposed to your marketplace?
Well, when we were here in the past, because it was just starting when we were on Mark's show, we took all comers because we were just trying to grow it. So there's a login portal, a sign up portal for the lenders, but in reality, we've grown a lot since then. We've $4.8 billion of loans have come through the platform. I think when we
4.8 billion.
billion.
Yeah.
Billion.
And I think when we talked to Mark, we have to go and watch the old tape, but it was probably probably 10 million.
Yeah.
I mean, you were just
Yeah.
getting started.
Yeah, and
Really.
so we've had a lot of time to refine the system, and the goal right now is to have banks come to the system, talk to their managers, they contact us, and we onboard the bank is the most efficient way to do it. If you're a community bank, the most efficient way to do it is to onboard the bank, and the bank buys, it's like a software as a service, the bank buys access to the platform.
Okay.
It's the most efficient way.
So could multiple branches of a bank do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have all the controls necessary to let the bank efficiently organize themselves within Magilla, because Magilla's not for every loan officer. Just like I like kayak, you like whatever orbits. It's a preference. The bank will find out which loan officers adapt the best to Magilla, are gravitating towards it, and they can organize it in the most efficient manner. If they want to do all the home loans out of the Sacramento office, so be it. And Magilla's not there to dictate how they use it. We just want to get them to efficiently use it to their liking. And that happens best at the corporate level.
And so when you first started, like can you say who your first lender was that you signed up?
Bank of the West.
Bank of the West. And so now was there a time when one of the lenders said, you know what, why don't we bring this in-house, forgo the whole open access thing? Did you ever run into that?
Oh, you mean someone saying...
Well, we want to acquire this and use it just for us in some way?
Not on the bank side. I don't think anyone had the... because it ruins the system. You can't have... There's no search without search.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think there's been that glimmer in someone's eye before, but you'd really kill your own your own machine right out of the chute.
Yeah.
But other people, non-banks, have definitely, especially lately,
Yeah, we've been very lucky.
very lucky with them even asking Chris and I, would you consider this or that with respect to Magilla, which I think after 2 years in business, we're
It's pretty flattering.
pretty flattering, exactly.
Yeah. So real estate, that's the main...
Well, real
is that
estate-
the only focus, or is that the main focus?
Main. Real estate-based assets do the best in Magilla, whether it be residential or commercial, but franchises, expansion, business lines of credit,
Equipment.
medical, veterinarian. Admittedly, it's not the best place for consolidating credit card debt, at least not yet, and things like that.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, the system is always expanding, but currently it works best for traditional residential refis, purchases, home equity lines of credit, and the slew of business. I think the largest loans have gone up to $65 million.
Yeah, I think that.
What's the smallest you typically take?
It's not a matter of us taking it. It's just
Not you
The
guys.
activity. Yeah.
I'd say like 50,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's people ask us all the time, like, well, can I put this loan in the system? Well, of course you can. We want all the loans in the system.
Right.
And our goal is to make, our mantra is there's a lender somewhere for every borrower and every loan. That's our goal. And until we've achieved that goal, we don't stop working. We're
Right.
always growing the system.
All right, we're going to go to commercial break. When we get back, we'll continue the conversation with Dean and Chris of Magilla Loans. You're listening to Beyond the Numbers.
Nice. How many more segments are there?
Two more.
Two more? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's not 40, I don't even know the actual
awesome.
number, 46, 48 minutes.
Mark's not messing around, Chris.
What else you want to broach?
You can talk whatever you want.
Do you have staff?
Oh, yeah.
We're 10.
Wow.
6 coders. That's the key.
Okay.
You know, it's the people in the back rooms who are kind of grinding out how
Yes.
the platform works and making sure troubleshooting constantly, problems,
And as far as
trying to innovate new things and get them into the process.
Yeah, I mean the core platform is borrower meet lender. The people that are interesting is title companies, which we always thought was a big one.
Okay.
Because we're at the intersection of borrower and lender meeting. Every one of those transactions needs title, escrow, 1031 exchange, financial planning, inspections, home warranty. I mean, it's just scratching the
Right.
surface here.
Right.
Fidelity, First American Title, the Old Republic, they do all those things.
Right.
So they are very, very interested in saying
It's exciting.
borrower meet lender. And by the way, hit that button and we'll set up the title and escrow at Fidelity.
Is that an option at this point? To hit that button?
It kind of is an option. It's a clunky option,
Okay.
admittedly. But with 6 coders now, we're setting it up so that as efficient as it is for the banks to say, Mark is the best loan officer for your $10 million loan in San Diego, we're going to say, and this is the escrow officer that Fidelity believes will handle that transaction, and we're going to do the title at the corporate plant in doesn't matter where.
Right.
I think,
You want to talk about that on air when we get on air?
yeah.
I think that's interesting.
I think it is too.
Yeah, it's like
I think
fine.
it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's real.
Yeah.
And I did it just the other day with my brother. I mean, we needed an Alta survey. Called our Alta surveyor. He was either really busy or feeling really aggressive. He gave us a price that was obnoxious. Okay, so what did I do? Well, I called, a friend
Right.
and said, hey, an Alta surveyor. Magilla is that friend to say, oh my God, my ADA compliance guy is in Hawaii. Hey, Magilla, you don't even ask. Magilla's already given you a due diligence checklist to say when you buy an asset in Austin, Texas, here's a due diligence checklist that Magilla's compiled for similar assets. You don't have to use it. But you can. You can use some, all. We can set up the whole transaction for you if you want. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is.
And as the bankers start seeing loans not in their vicinity, I'm at Tri-Counties Bank.
Right.
Well, what visibility, and I don't know if that's a good example because I don't know if they have branches in San Diego. I think they do not. Okay, but why not? You're
Right.
licensed to do business there.
Right.
The crazy thing, and I don't want to say this on air, the crazy thing is that,
You're on Facebook Live.
okay, can they hear?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So,
Really?
yeah. I don't
Say
want
that.
to. Don't say something. Yeah.
Right.
No, nothing bad. Just
Right.
we think that they would need to go outside their norm,
Right.
Yeah.
outside their comfort zone because you can't.
It's a nice plug. It's a nice plug. They just
Okay.
plugged you.
I need to do more.
Straight to underwriting.
Hmm?
Straight to underwriting.
You're on Facebook Live.
That's mine. Oh, look at that. Wow.
And we're back. You're listening to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5 FM, part of the Wall Street Business Network. It is Valentine's Day and Ash Wednesday and the middle of the week. And we've got Dean and Chris here from Magilla Loans and Amanda, my co-host this morning.
Hey, hey.
Hey, welcome back again and this week. Thank you for doing this.
There is nowhere I would rather be.
Absolutely wonderful to hear that. So you guys, when you started out, Bank of the West is the first lender. So they're California-based. I know that. And so could they have loaned to outside California, or do our banks have limits on? Would they have to be registered in states?
Well, I mean, that's up to the bank.
Okay.
I mean, we're not regulators.
Right.
So yeah, they can loan in areas that they're licensed to do business in.
And then obviously they have lending limits.
Sure.
And each bank is a little bit different, so that's
But-
important.
But when you guys started out, was it predominantly California or
It was
Sacramento?
Sacramento.
But even more so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just getting the word out has been the challenge, as it is for a lot of companies.
Mhm.
I mean, it's an internet-based company with a brand new URL and not a whole lot of Google site.
So how did you get that
visibility.
out there?
Yeah.
We just grinded it out, and we just grind it out.
Slowly got radio shows, TV.
I'm sure beyond the numbers.
Yeah,
helped
blew
you
it up.
Stratosphere.
No, and that was, I think, we always say that it's a what they call a dual-sided marketplace, right? You need borrowers to come into the system, right? But you also need the lenders to respond to
Yes,
the borrowers.
yes.
So
Right.
I think we've read a lot of articles now, and they said that that's the hardest thing to start.
We just
Because
didn't
there's-
know it was the hardest thing to start,
Exactly.
which was
Good
good.
thing you didn't read it.
Yeah.
It's sort of that chicken and the egg always,
Yeah.
right? And it was constant. So
Yeah, if you have a bunch of construction lenders and not a lot of construction loans, the construction lenders get bored.
Right.
Yeah.
And vice versa. We don't want people to say, "Oh, I put it in Magilla, it didn't work." Now that always is going to happen,
Of course.
because, again, with the airline example, I want to fly from Sacramento to Bermuda, nonstop, first class for $500.
Exactly.
But that's not possible.
Right.
Now it's not Kayak's fault that it's not possible, but it's just not possible. But the point is why not test the limits of what is possible? Because I already have a predisposition to what I think a loan can look like based on my conversations with colleagues. Like, oh, that building? Yeah, it'll probably be about this. You might be right. You might be able to fly from Sacramento to Chicago coach for $250. That's a guess, though. And it changes. And we see it changing quicker, and
Right.
it's more fluid than we realized.
Mm-hmm.
And Magilla's helping make it fluid. And it's not fluid only to the borrower's benefit. It's helpful to the lender too, because the lender's always trying to balance their portfolio. So if you need more industrial loans in Austin, Texas, how are you going to go about getting them? It's difficult. I need to catch the developer when he's in the throes of buying something or building something. Well, that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
To time it right. And they go through a lot of effort, because they have to try to stay in front of these borrowers.
Yeah, and I think that's just piggyback on what Dean said. That's probably one of the most interesting things over the last 2.5 years that I've learned is this. We've probably interviewed about 100 different bankers, probably more, and understanding that there is this internal portfolio of real estate that whoever it is above is saying, hey, in Sacramento, the portfolio is light industrial, buy out the industrial market in the first quarter of 2018. Well, you as a layperson would never have any idea that they were aggressive in the marketplace in that day, right? When you're looking for an industrial loan.
Right.
That's where Magilla comes in. So that, to me, I was like, wow, I think we're really onto something, because how do you get that word out as a bank? You put balloons up in the branch and hope someone in the first
someone walks
quarter,
in or sees it, yeah.
it doesn't happen like that
You
anymore.
get one of those little wavy
Yeah,
guys
it's
and
the
you put it
wavy
in
guys,
there.
right? And so for me, that was I was like, wow, I think we're really onto something, because the banks do that regularly. And how would you know that the residential market in Phoenix is where Bank of America is buying out the marketplace, and they're undercutting the marketplace. So it's exciting. That was really exciting for me. That was one of the aha moments that we had.
So something we talked about at the break is you're making that connection between borrower and lender, but in every transaction there are other services that are part of that pipeline.
Yeah, and admittedly, that was not in the original genesis of this. It was, the main goal of Magilla is efficiency between borrower and lender, and making that market as fluid and efficient as possible. From our backgrounds, we know how to buy assets. We do it for a living before Magilla. So I always call it a due diligence checklist. What do I need to close a transaction? Well, it depends on the asset, first of all, and depends on the lender, and it depends on the location. So I can't necessarily call my surveyor in Sacramento to survey a property I'm buying in a different state
Of
or in a
course,
different portion of California if he doesn't have more than one office.
Mhm.
So we ask our friends, ask our colleagues, or get recommendations from a broker.
Right.
And Magilla's not saying that ours is the only answer, but what we want to do as a little bit of a thank you, in a sense, to the borrower for trusting us to expose them to their lending options, we're saying we're going to compile a due diligence checklist for you. You don't have to use it, but you might have some of the things on the list. You might have your favorite people. If you don't, here's a list of people that we trust,
Mhm.
and that is the main. You start with title and escrow.
And that's a location-specific due diligence list.
Well, we want it to be as efficient as it is for the lenders. So
Yeah.
when you pick up the phone, when you meet a lender in Magilla, we want to get down to as close as possible to the actual loan officer who's relevant for your loan. And similarly, for title and escrow, I really don't want to go through an 800 number. I can call 1-800 Title Company X. That's not the point.
Mhm.
The point is, if I hit the go button, the escrow should be streamlined.
Yes.
And Magilla has enough information, even if we don't have your social security number and your name, we know enough about the asset to be able to route it to the correct loan officer. You don't want a residential loan officer to do a commercial transaction
Yeah.
and vice versa, and it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and Dean always tells the story of I don't know if you guys had the same situation, but when we were buying a house, right, with our wife, and they've looked at how many different houses, 20 houses, and finally she calls and says, hey, I love this one, this is the one, right? And so we are in the mode like, okay, we're gonna buy this house, right? And then you purchase the house, and of course there's that laundry list of things,
Yes.
pest control, right? Inspection, and you're like, you look at your realtor, your broker, and say, can you help me with any of that?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And Dino is very funny because he's always like, we're these hyper-educated people, and we become these bumbling idiots. Say, please just get it done. My wife wants this house.
Right.
And so I think that's sort of a universal experience, and I think we want to make it easier for people, and that's
And for the lenders, as we allow a loan officer, a good loan officer who's licensed to do business, of course, in the state of California,
Right.
why shouldn't the reach of that effective loan officer reach to areas they haven't been in before? And you may not have all the tools that you need to finish the loan.
Mhm.
And again, it is an optional thing, but it's on both sides. Certain recommendations are more relevant to the loan officer, like the appraiser. Okay,
Mhm.
the loan officer is going to choose that. And certain recommendations are only relevant to the borrower, like ADA compliance certification,
Right.
or
Roof
cert, or what have you.
Right.
And we're really excited about it. I mean, it's an avenue of Magilla that has elements of the core.
Mhm.
The engine that drives Magilla can be easily adapted, and it's being adapted to title companies. And it's pretty exciting.
Well, what I'm hearing is you are solving a lot of issues for the consumer, from the consumer's point of view.
Yes.
Like the CarMax did for the car. I'm going through this loan. I'm overwhelmed anyway. This whole thing is freaking me out.
Right.
Now I'm having to give all this personal information to all these people. I'm jumping through 5 different hoops for a lender who may not even choose me.
Yeah.
I've now put in hours and hours. I'm going through boxes, and I gotta find old pay stubs, and I'm
Yeah.
getting old tax
You don't know
returns.
you don't know if you're in the right place.
I don't even know if this is the one for me.
And that's the point. That's what we tell people is we can't cause the lender to give you a loan. The lender is the ultimate arbitrator. What we're trying to do is put you at least in the right place,
Mhm.
and vice versa. We want the lender to. There's no reason for the lender to waste time with you, or for you to waste time with the lender if it's a bad match.
Yeah.
And they don't know if it's a bad match, but we're giving enough information that you can make relevant choices.
So you bring a lot of efficiency to the whole process. A lot of efficiency to the process.
Absolutely, without any
Huge.
tricks. I
Yeah.
mean, if you get 6 proposals in Magilla for your loan, and you choose 2, our mantra, because it's true, is you're going to get 2 phone calls, not 3.
Mhm.
And that's what people and your listeners really want.
Yeah.
It's not very efficient if you just flood my phone and my email with phones and cold.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Right.
but we want it to be a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 or however. You can pick as many as you want.
Right. And it's real. It's not, we're going to quote you, it's going to be 6%, we're going to close in 60 days, and then
Well,
they call you and go, it's actually 10, and it's 90,
Yeah.
and it's...
Yeah, and we struggled with that in the beginning too. People thought Magilla didn't work because after they submitted their loan, there was no answer. And of course there's no answer because it's real. Like you said, in order to be real, a human being has to review it and make your proposal.
Right.
In
They
that case,
swiped
yeah.
left on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, there you go.
There's the
Wow.
reference. There's the
With
reference.
that, we're
Wow.
going to go to commercial. You listen to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5.
Oh, I love it.
Is it
That was awesome.
Is it bad? Let's swipe. Let's
This
swipe.
is, I don't know. I've been married too long. I don't know.
I think all of us have been married too
Yeah,
long.
if we
Never-
did know, we'd be in really big
I
trouble.
think,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
you might have gotten that backwards.
Well,
I
it's-
think left is deny, but I'm not sure. I think it's swipe right, but I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know, but that is a.
You see that, spouses? We don't know.
Yeah, we have
we don't know
none
that.
of us think that we know how that works.
No, but it is.
You have
It is.
way
It
too
is.
much knowledge, Amanda.
It is interesting that the first person who said, "Oh my God, it's like a dating app,"
Yeah.
and we're in our 40s.
I think,
Uh,
sure.
I mean, I didn't really draw the connection, but it is. It is a dating app for loans.
Yeah.
And you reference it a lot.
Yeah, because it's true.
Tinder, or
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, and there's one called Bumble, and Bumble I think is a newer one. Where
Don't
the-
point at me.
No, it's a woman-centric one that the woman gets to
Chooses.
choose.
Right.
And it was actually a woman who
Who
left.
said that, yeah.
I think she left Tinder. Or,
Maybe, yeah,
or Match.com or one of those.
And they started Bumble for different reasons, but Bumble is a reasonable approximation of what we're doing for loans in the sense that the borrower is ultimately the one that makes the choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Back up. So this is the last segment, right?
We're back. You listen to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5 FM, part of the Wall Street Business Network. We've been talking with Dean Sioukas and Chris Meyer of Magilla Loans. You can reach out to them at www.magillaloans.com. If you are a borrower looking to borrow some money and you don't want to go through the process of lugging your stuff all around to meet with numerous people and chase dead ends, go online. And it's a lot more efficient. It's like a dating app. It's like a travel app.
Yeah,
So,
those are the best analogies.
yeah.
And it's things we use all the time. And before we went to break, I was going to your comment about CarMax. I love cars, and those tools are fantastic. They are really, really good. And I'm old enough to remember, dreaming for my first car, and you'd open the paper, and
It's,
Right.
we did that.
We all did it.
We all did it that way. And if you think about how many car brands are there really are relevant in the marketplace today, there's not that many, right? I'm making. I don't know what the answer is, but maybe a
Maybe.
dozen, 20 at the most.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a number that, if I'm into cars, which I am, I have a pretty good idea of what their offerings are. Okay. And airlines, there's a similar number, 12, 20 airlines.
Yeah.
Well, how many car or travel sites are there that in existence that will help you divine how to organize those 20?
Mm-hmm.
An infinite number. I don't know. There's so many. I have my favorites. You have your favorites. How many sites are there to organize literally thousands of lending choices for you? Well, according to these two guys, because we couldn't find one that we would use, none.
Have there been other ones that have sprung up since you guys started?
Not that we're aware of. I mean, everyone's got a different. There are obviously Lending Tree is one of the major ones that's been around for a long time, and their program is slightly different, and we're coming at it from a different angle. We are real estate background, business owner background. We want to engage with large financial institutions, community banks, and like we talked when we were on break, sometimes an alt lender, because their speed is important.
Do you have alt lenders that
We do.
are part of the pool of lenders?
We do. We want to have.
Give the consumer more choices. Really.
There's never anything wrong with choice.
No, never.
If and we're trying to organize those lenders as we continue to grow our lender pool, as we determine which lenders are have a really strong relationship goal. We're going to tell the borrower that, because we think that's valid. If you're looking for a new relationship and you really want that kind of experience, then we want to give you a little bit of color on that with the bank's approval, of course.
Sure.
And sometimes it just doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The building's 99% leased. It always has been. It's not that much money. Any bank can do it. In that case, it is a more of a transactional based arrangement. At least it can be. And it's up to the borrower to decide which direction they want to go.
I think what's important about Magilla, I think we try to constantly look 2, 3, 5 years ahead. And where we see the loan space going is sort of to what we constantly are saying, is straight to underwriting concept. And that is to try to say to these large institutions, hey, let's set up a Magilla team in, say, a highly educated area like in Austin, Texas, or Madison, Wisconsin, or Chapel Hill. Let's get a room of underwriters and give the borrower sort of that instantaneous approval, because I think that's where society is going. We want something fast. Especially if you're a qualified borrower and you know that you have the assets to get the loan, I think that's where things are going to happen, and we're going to see sort of this cataclysmic shift in the banking world in the next, I would even say, under 2 years, because banks are responsive to that, especially for those people who can get a loan, who know that they can get a loan and would get it. The speed is going to become
And
much more important.
and from an efficiency standpoint, which is where I'm always thinking about,
Right.
and I can see it on your face as Chris was saying that, if you're aware of the fact that the proposal at Magilla came from an underwriter, it may not be the most attractive option in the list, but Magilla is going to identify that as coming from an underwriter, which as a borrower you would think, hey, that may not be exactly what I'm looking for, but it's coming from the source. Because ultimately the underwriter is the one who has to decide
Right.
if this is going to go forward.
Right.
And so Magilla is going to work with the banks to provide the borrower with a sorting of where the proposal came from. And we already do that from the borrower side. We tell the banks, because we think it's important, where did this loan come from? Was it borrower submitted? I think when we talked to you in the beginning, I think it was, we wanted CPAs. CPAs can,
Yep.
it's anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
So on behalf of your clients, you could say, hey, Mark, you know a lot about, finance. Can you help me with this loan? I'm really busy. That's perfectly fine. Your lawyer, any trusted advisor. And we want to be able to tell let's say a real estate broker. So if a real estate broker puts a loan in Magilla, the veracity of the information on the asset is of the highest order.
Mm-hmm.
The real estate broker knows that building better than
Right.
anybody.
Right.
Now, he may not have the borrower's situation fully sorted out, but we're at least telling the lender, this is the source, and you can make a judgment call as to the veracity of the information. And that's efficient.
Right.
It just is.
Right. Well, what I really like, that you said before, I came from a real estate background as well, and I know being a woman in the position, and you're trying to get somebody into a deal and close that deal, and you've got an office of loan officers that they can choose, and how do I get you to choose me? Because I have the very best product, and I'm going to give you the best service, and I've vetted this all out. But when you're looking in this room of people, it's, no, I want that 50-year-old dude over there because he seems like he knows what he's doing and you don't.
Because he looks like the person you
Right.
think he should look
He
like.
looks lonely.
Yeah.
He looks like he's
Yeah.
done some
Lonely.
deals.
Right, exactly.
Right, and I know that, so I really like, intentional or not, but that equalizing
Right.
factor that you've set, and then on the other side, that maybe these underwriters are going, look, I've got this package, this is solid gold, someone needs to choose this,
Right.
but they don't want to get to me because there is some perception that,
Whatever the reason.
I'm not the ideal person for you to connect with, so,
Well, and what about how you sound?
right,
A lot of very, very successful people have an accent.
right,
That is irrelevant.
right.
Yeah.
But we know there's a lending bias. If you're a person of color, there is a lending bias for you.
And in addition, we are, to the extent somebody, we don't ask the borrower, what's your primary language? Because we're trying to strip that out of it.
Right.
But what we do is we let the lenders tell us if they're multilingual. To the extent that's relevant to the borrower, again, in the mantra of the borrower chooses,
Right,
if the borrower feels more comfortable with that multilingual, that's fine. That's totally fine.
mm-hmm.
And why not? Again, it's like a LinkedIn profile. I want to have
Yeah.
the profile of the loan officer, not gender, not
Yeah.
age,
Yeah.
but what are you good at? What are your expertise? And this borrower has these needs, and how do we best match that up?
Right.
Yeah, and I think we're onto something, and it's exciting that in only 2.5 years, we're kind of excited what's happening.
Like you said, you've grown. I mean, when
Yeah.
we first met, which is probably close to 2, it was at least
I
2
think
years
it
ago,
is
I think
at
it
least
was.
2,
'Cause you
yeah.
guys were, I remember you guys were looking for CPAs.
Yep.
And
That's
people
exactly
said-
right.
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
that's right.
like you said, and the deal volume at the time probably was in the low millions.
Yeah,
It couldn't have been
for
much
sure.
more than
Yeah.
that.
And now you're at 3.5 or 4.5.
I think it's 4.8 billion.
4.8 billion. You're
crazy.
going to be you're written up nationally.
Yeah.
You're on national television, news stations.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's coming
all
up.
that kind of stuff. I mean, you get those lots. The word's getting out there.
The word is
Because
getting out
You guys
there.
are national too in terms of lenders and borrowers. All 50 states.
We've also had international borrowers
Okay.
buying assets in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
which is another something we didn't necessarily think of, but it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's grown really, really fast.
And organically.
And organically.
Yeah.
And we listen to our customers. And I know that sounds cliche, but we really, really do.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing we didn't have when we started, which is kind of fun, is we have something called Mag Chat, Magilla Chat.
Okay.
And it's anonymous, just like the rest of Magilla. And so because our question tree, no question tree is ever perfect.
Right.
No one's that good. There's always some question.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
The lenders can ask the questions anonymously of the borrower, and it shows up as L1, L2, L3, and so on, like any other chat application. And the borrower can answer. And so we could say, hey, you say the building was earthquake retrofitted. When? Borrower, answer. All the lenders see the answer so that we don't ask the same questions twice.
Right.
Mm.
And of course, then Magilla takes that information, and it's like constant customer feedback. And we see questions that,
Questionnaire in that for-
if it gets
Yeah.
asked enough, we'll put it in the put it in the queue.
That's the key. You have to listen to the borrowers, and you have to listen to the people using the system, and try to iterate from there. And I just want to give a quick shout out to you, because we appreciate to have a venue like this, and I think certainly Sacramento appreciates it. We need to hear about these businesses from an investor perspective, from just a human perspective, and so to have a venue like this is huge for us. So we want to make sure we thank you. We were here 2 years ago, and
Yeah,
it's
give us
kind
a
of
chance.
nice to you gave us a chance, exactly. And I think there's probably tons of businesses out there that need a chance. And just to give a shout out to Mark, he's been there for us, and we really appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah, well, it's been great watching you guys' success. I mean, I've seen you over time through whatever, LinkedIn, but through the Business Journal, through news.
Yeah, we've seen the cocktail
Yeah,
parties or
yeah,
whatever.
and just watching you guys'
Yep.
growth is exciting.
Yeah.
And to have it in Sacramento,
Right.
and we're lucky to be here. I mean, there are great banks in Sacramento, banks that we're really proud to know, and we want to grow with them.
Well, thank you, guys. We've been talking with Dean Sioukas and Chris Meyer of Magilla Loans, www.magillaloans.com. You've been listening to Beyond the Numbers. It's February 14th. Go enjoy the rest of your day.
Happy
We'll see you next
Valentine's
week.
Day. Yes.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yay.
That was cool.
Way to close in on it.
I know, right?
Like a pro.
Brought it back.